Data science? Netflix? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to TARTLE Cast.
New Mexico Netflix?
New Mexico Netflix. It's not about the movies. Their bread and butter is delivering you movies that they think you want to see.
The suggestions.
It's not for them about making the movies. It's about everybody making movies and making sure that the ones that are made are seen by the right people.
But the content is not the main focus of Netflix.
No.
It's to introduce great content so that you get subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
They want subscribers.
They want subscribers, and they get
That's how they grow.
They get more subscribers through their data processing algorithm, which is an affinity propagation algorithm. What that's saying is, imagine you have a table, rows and columns, and each one is, say, a descriptor, and then within that descriptor, you have variants of that description. And then once you're in there, you rate each of those variants within that description. So when you're on your Netflix account and you choose a piece of content to start this off, Netflix starts a table on you. And then from this table, they're going to be like, okay, we know that this piece of content has these identifying factors,
right,
and these levels of characteristics within it. This person watched it all the way through, start to finish. So our affinity propagation, so it's going to feed into itself, this machine learning model, to say that, okay, they've watched it once. Let's tee them up with something that's kind of like it. Now, let's also tee them up with something that is not even close to it. Now we can begin to compare things across this table. Did they choose the thing that was almost directly associated with the flavor of the thing you watched before, or did they go for something completely different? Now, when they watch something completely different, did they watch it all the way through, 3/4 of the way through? Turn it right on, turn it right off. Did it capture the same characteristic identifiers and variants that the first one did?
Yes.
Oh, no, it didn't. Okay, so maybe we shouldn't give them something totally polar opposite, but maybe something in between. What's kind of like a middle of the road kind of thing? Oh, they actually watched that all the way through.
Well, it's super important, with these because, and as well as I do, like for me, my table will be really easy. It's just action movies.
Yeah.
But I'm saying YouTube does this too when they're watching percentage. So like I can advertise to somebody that watched 100% of Tartle's video. Because obviously that person must be really interested. I can say they watched 10% of it, 20% of it, 30, and so on.
Or it was on and they just left it on.
Yeah, they left it on. Yeah, you have that part too. We've talked about before. But Netflix is knowing this. So like it comes really important with this. So let's say you're in the United States and everybody's watching action movies and they suggest a French action movie to you and it has subtitles. And so people start to watch it for 5 minutes and then when they see the subtitles, they're out.
Doesn't work.
So they know that. And so now they can group people into buckets, which we talk about all the time, and say 18 to 24-year-old males that watch French action movies, don't like subtitles.
And when a producer shows up and says, hey, we want to list this movie on Netflix, and they say, well, actually, we know that these don't do well on Netflix.
Yeah, trust me.
And we know exactly how much to pay you depending on the audience size that we have.
What do you think documentaries and podcasts are all about? Serial killers and murderers and crazy stuff.
Because we have
it's just constantly. I was on HBO Cinemax the other day and I wanted to look at a documentary and I'm like, there's no good. All these documentaries are like crazy people doing crazy shit.
I have no interest in that.
Why is everybody watching that?
What's that football player that did something?
Yeah. I mean, that was like one of the top.
I literally could care less. Their algorithm sucks so bad. I go on Netflix because I heard about it and I want to watch one thing. I almost never being like, oh, that's a great suggestion. I don't want to watch 99% of the other things they're suggesting.
Well, that's because they need TARTLE, because then you could ask somebody specifically, do you like crime documentaries?
Do you like subtitles? Do you
Hell,
like this? Do you like that?
And rating 1 to 5, where are you at as far as like it? Least likely to like that?
Yeah.
You need to ask people directly.
And before you pay a producer to list this thing that's going to be a bust, don't do it.
Yeah.
They had this one that Tom Hanks, I think it was, or no. Who's the guy who was in Ocean's 11 and 13? Lead actor.
George Clooney?
George Clooney. George Clooney's in this one where he's up in like the Arctic Circle or something like that. They paid all this money to get this movie made. And I'm like, and they suggested to me, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'll check it out. Sucked. I watched the whole thing. It was totally sucked. And then they start suggesting me these other films, and it's like, If you had told me the plot ahead of time for this whole film, I wouldn't have watched it. If you told me it wasn't going to be explained, there's no like actual start and finish to this story, I wouldn't have watched it. Yeah, I would have told you don't pay the money to it. The whole thing was a flop, but you made it look great. The algorithm sucks because they actually don't know the flavor of a person's mind.
No.
They just use an affinity propagation model in their machine learning to take a best guess about what you want to see. And then that acts as a key driver. So they use lagging indicators to be their key driver for how they make decisions going forward.
Yeah, and Spotify's having issues with this. You know, it's like the things it's suggesting to me are horrific. I'm like, I listen to EDM music, that's it. Mm-hmm. Maybe a little praise and worship music because I like that music. And then everything else, 80% of my listening habit is podcasts. So why are you suggesting top 40 classical music? You're way off. These companies have to realize the only way you're going to get accurate information is go to the source.
Thank you.
There's only one way.
Fix your damn affinity propagation algorithm tables by putting in the human input. Don't just create a model of computer input.
So if Netflix came to you and they said, Alexander McKay, CEO of TARTLE, we want to know how TARTLE can help Netflix. So to be more accurate.
Here's the first thing I would ask Netflix.
To serve people.
Netflix, what is it you would like to know? What would you like to know about people? And then they'd say, well, we want to know exactly what people want to watch. Okay. What else do you want to know? Well, we want to know how likely they are to watch something and what their preferred time is to watch something. Obviously, your model is going to be skewed to people watching videos at night because they got home from work and that's their habit. Maybe you can change that so you can get people to watch videos all day long. But you have to understand the habit. You have to understand the flavor of how they do things, not just look at the device it came in, but you have to speak to that individual. You have to create a bridge to them. You have to understand the decision about what they are going to do rather than wait for them to watch the video and then guess on what they should do next.
Yeah, on a marketing side, I would have to say Netflix, you're putting yourself in a box.
By putting others in a box, you put yourself in a box.
You're basically going to turn into who you took over.
Yeah,
and that who was it? The video stores.
Yeah, Blockbuster.
Yeah, Blockbuster. You're all in on one thing. You have to realize you're a cloud media company, and so it's media. How can I serve media in multiple streams to people that are consuming it? Like you should have bought out Spotify a long time ago.
Yeah, and I'll make one last comment. We'll close this out. If you statistically flatten the value of a human being, you statistically flatten your growth, and you statistically flatten the likelihood of your long-term survival as a company.